Oh, actually, you know what would be interesting now? Now that we know so many more things. I wonder how this discussion went.
You're loved by many people here in Israel and in the world, but you're also hated by many.
Netanyahu is part of the Likud party, right? Netanyahu Wikipedia. He's part of the, right? He's the chairman of the Likud party. What does the seat composition of the Knesset look like right now? Control F. Is there a way to just see? Is there like a... Oh, is this the modern or the current composition? No, this is... Troubling reality about Israel, I think, is that the best or most peace-seeking elements are found in the national security organs, the IDF, the Mossad, Shin Bet, and some careerist bureaucrats as well, Kogat, Supreme Court, and it is actually the democratically elected elements that is the most damaging. It was the SC that held... SC is Supreme Court that held back on Sheikh Jarrah to avoid unrest. It's IDF types who say things like, we need a Marshall Plan for Gaza and Israeli security. Huh. Gotcha. Okay, damn. So the Likud is the most popular single political party right now. And then Emergency Unity Government. This is the name of the coalition that the Likud has with the other parties here, I guess. Ugh. Listen, okay? Admitting it is definitely not a theory I hear talked about often, but I do believe it very strongly. It's always been the democratic Israel that is ruinous and the bureaucratic national security Israel that is realistic about how to move forward. Interesting. Another example of this are the huge protests over judicial reforms. A huge motivation is that a non-independent Supreme Court would eliminate IDF legitimacy with respect to its ability to follow international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict. This is led by Israeli reservists and denounced by IDF leaders. This pattern is repeated again and again and again. This is, for instance, from after Hamas won elections. Some analysts argue that Hamas had a substantial moderate wing that could be strengthened if America coaxed it into the peace process. Notable Israelis such as Ephraim Halevi, the former head of the Mossad intelligence agency, share this view. But if America paused to consider giving Hamas the benefit of the doubt, the moment was milliseconds long, says a senior State Department official. The administration spoke with one voice. We have to squeeze these guys with a Hamas election victory. The election agenda was dead. Okay. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I know that people shit on our two-party system a lot in the United States, but coalition governments seem, unironically, like absolute fucking AIDS cancer. I'm going to be honest. Holy shit. But what?
Viewers. I gave another one. I just did a little video a few years ago. 25 million viewers from Iran. Certainly no hate there. I have to tell you. Not from the regime. Okay. And when I go around the world.
Why? The idea that like, I mean, if I'm to understand coalition governments well, the idea that you might have like 100 seats in some residing body and you've got like 48 seats and 48 seats in like the two big parties, and you've got like one party here that's called like the urethral sounding party. And if either of these parties want to form a coalition government, they've got to embrace like, okay, fuck it. We're going to go ahead and take on the sounding party. Like if you're male, you need a 6-inch like glass rod shoved into your urethra every fucking Friday because that we have to form the coalition government. It's the only way we're going to be able to do it. Like, I don't know. I think that I feel like that's fucking AIDS shit. Okay. But
world, and I've been around the world, people want to hear what we have
like
to say.
imagine when people complain about like cinema and mansion in the United States Senate, like imagine that except on fucking crack. All right. Why do you think Netanyahu got voted? Do you think majority of people in Israel lean extreme right? Netanyahu has openly voiced his opinion calling... Okay, first of all, I don't believe that Netanyahu is extreme right in Israel. I think Netanyahu is pretty far right, but I think that the smaller parties that they form coalitions with, I think, are more extreme right than him, right? He is definitely like pretty far right, but I don't think he's considered extreme right in Israel, and Israeli people can tell me if that's the case. So like, for instance, from 95 onwards, he opposed the Oslo Accords. Obviously, he was not a fan of these, but I think there was a lot of protests in Israel at the time in opposition of these types of peace movements with Palestine as well, right? I don't think he's extreme right. Yeah. Netanyahu caught bragging about breaking the Oslo Accords. I'm pretty sure we've already read and seen quotes of him talking about trying to slow down the process and that he didn't really want to adhere to these. But I mean, yeah, that was obvious, I think, even before Rabin's assassination, that he wasn't a big fan of these as well, right? Why does it seem like so many past Israeli generals / diplomats / etc. keep giving these conflicting alternative narratives of Israel's past wars? Is it wanting to be relevant / remembered or something else? The hardcore right-wing narrative is that the initial Zionist project was completely and totally valid, legally, internationally, morally, and that every single action the Jewish state took was necessarily done with direct and indirect provocation from the surrounding Arab states, the Arab Palestinians in the area, and then the rest of the Arab world. Every single action that Israel has done has been fully justified in terms of either deterrent actions against future terrorists or against direct actions from state actors, like full stop, basically. That's the hardcore Zionist perspective from Israel from 48 up to 2000, up to today. With the release of stuff from archives, I think especially in the 90s, I think is when it happened. When Israel started to open stuff from archives, when you started to get more conversations from leaders at the time, while based on my limited reading, it seems like Israel was still generally in the right, the story becomes a lot murkier when you start to see more of the conversations and more of the decisions that had taken place, right? So like a hardcore Zionist retelling of 48 might be 7 powerful Arab nations tried to go to war with us and destroy us, and we won that war. And after we won the war, a lot of the Arab Palestinians that were within our newly declared borders that we wanted to live peacefully with, they decided to leave because they didn't want to work with us, because they hated us, so they thought we would kill them, right? But I'm pretty sure that as the archives are open, you start to find out that there was, after the war, there was more of an intentional displacement or expulsion of Arab people from lands, with some accounts saying things like entire villages were burned to the ground, or people were killed, or houses were destroyed intentionally in order to forcibly expel Arabs from the land within the 48 borders, right? So the original Zionist narrative, the original hardcore Zionist narrative telling of Israel basically gives Israel an infinite blank check to attack anybody around them, because they're perpetually cast as the victims, the David and Goliath story. So that's the reason why some, I don't know if Bibi himself, I don't know Netanyahu how hardcore he holds onto the narrative, but that's like the founding narrative for so the hardcore Zionist faction in Israel, right? I don't know if modern hardcore Zionists support that telling of Israeli history, or if most people have kind of moved to moderate on it a little bit. So I'm not sure, Destiny, for reference to what Netanyahu / the Likud want judicial reform, they want to make it so the Knesset can overrule Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority vote, and you need a majority to make a Knesset coalition to begin with. Okay, gotcha. So that would be wild. So that would effectively nullify the Supreme Court, if I'm to understand it, if a coalition wants to do anything. Because I imagine the Supreme Court is making decisions on like legislation from the coalition, and if the coalition passes legislation, they can probably also overrule the Supreme vote, or... I mostly mean the stuff where diplomats / generals, where they write stuff like Lamea, we were never going to get invaded by Egypt, we never thought this. Seems like they should have spoken at the time. No, don't misunderstand. And I'm pretty sure most of the, your stepfather, make a post in the subreddit. Just go make a post in the subreddit, whatever you got. Go do that, okay? I'm pretty sure a lot of the quotes that I've seen that people try to frame this that Egypt wasn't a threat or whatever, didn't have to do with the idea that there was genuine thought in Israel, that high-level Israeli people thought like, oh, they'll never be a threat. All of the quotes that I've seen seem to say that like they probably weren't a threat at that very moment in time, that Israel probably had some number of months to actually prepare for an incoming conflict. Not that they were never under threat, or not that the Arab nation would never attack. It seems to be what I was saying. So, hold on. But somebody is saying that, okay, this is an Israeli saying, it would give the Knesset power to do it, but it's super hard to actually get 61 votes for a law. Usually you can pass a law by 30 to 10. You don't need all of the Knesset to be present. I didn't know that. That's okay, a little bit different, but I'm so curious how much of Lex knows about Netanyahu's political history here, because there are reasons why people would vilify him. I would be. Has he ever spoken about the demonstrations that he would take part in 95? Has he ever spoken about that? Or I'm so curious if there's videos of him talking about that. Destiny, yes. Bibi is literally just a much smarter version of Trump, incredibly divisive, made his coalition of right-wing and ultra-religious, strongman authoritarian, and currently indicted. Do you think Lex knows, or he's just too passive? Well, it could also be that Netanyahu laid some ground rules for things that he wouldn't talk about prior to or I'm sorry. I just looked at me in the center. There might be ground rules that he laid where he said, I'm not going to talk about these particular things. If you ask me about this, we're done. So that could be true as well. Is Lex's rhetoric bad for Israelis? He's a famous centrist, or centrists just bad for Israel? Centrists are good for Israel. One-state solutioners on Twitter, like Hassan, are great for Israel. Anybody that advocates for an unrealistic solution is ultimately benefiting Israel, because Israel benefits from the status quo, and unrealistic solutions are never going to be pursued diplomatically, militarily, or politically, right? So, yeah, everybody like Hassan, everybody that tears down the posters of the captured hostages, everybody says, oh, pro-Hamas fighters, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, all you're doing is helping Israel, because none of those solutions are going to be pursued, because they're obviously fucking retarded. And the status quo benefits Israel. The settlements will continue in the West Bank. That's not going to stop. The blockade on Gaza will continue. That's absolutely never going to stop. And more territorial expansion is going to happen as the IDF, as checkpoints spread out, as more territories claim, and the deals, whatever deal, and more peace, more bilateral peace treaties between Israel and other Arab states is going to increase. So every advocation for a retarded plot, plan, one state, centrist, whatever, all you're doing is benefiting Israel. Remember, the status quo benefits Israel. Destiny, what do you know about this? Israel attacks USS Liberty. What is this? During the 6-day war, Israel aircraft and torpedo boats attacked the USS Liberty. Wait, was that a U.S. ship? In international waters off Egypt's Gaza Strip, the intelligence ship, well marked as an American vessel and only armed, was attacked first by Israeli aircraft? The Liberty attempted a radio for assistance, but the Israeli aircraft blocked the trans. Wait, what is this? What happened here? Wait, Bunny. Wait, Bunny. Wait, what is this about? Wait, I've never heard of this ever in my entire life. Can you tell me more about this?